Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Maydaysan!
Yo, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I'm your host, Maydaysan from the Maydaysan Talk Show. And today we are sitting down on the couch because some of you don't like it when I'm pacing around. We're going to try out some different formats today. And be on the couch. Being on the couch in Japan. If you guys know that reference, you know that reference. Today I wanted to talk about being an English teacher in Japan. Specifically, what is it like to be an ALT in Japan? And more specifically, what is it like to work at Interac? That's right. I know there's a lot of you right now who are thinking, oh, maybe I should join Interac. But, I've heard a lot of bad stories about Interac, or, I heard it's not so bad or whatever like that. And I'm going to tell you my experience, tell you right now, straight up, the facts right now, what it's like to actually work at Interac. And last time I worked with them was in August of last year, so I think I'm pretty good. I can talk about them now. I'm not going to slander them or anything. I'm just going to tell you what it's really like to work there. And I'm going to tell you right now, it depends on what kind of person you are and what you're expecting. So the first thing I want to tell you right now is that if you're one of two of these people, you could be two types of people, and it's going to drastically change what it's like to work at Interac right now. So Interac right now, if you don't know who Interac is, it's a banking company that helps you scan your credit card. No, I'm joking. It's actually the exact same thing, the exact same name, but in Japanese English. So Interac. So you actually find to actually use that name without copyright because it's technically different. Okay, Eon and Eon. But anyway, Interac is the largest dispatch company for ALTs in Japan. An ALT is an underpaid dancing monkey job, assistant language teacher, and you work for the public school board of education. But the trick is you don't actually work for that. You actually work for the company. You actually work for the company, and you are basically the dispatch dude, the guy who goes out on behalf of the company to teach these kids, I like apples. So basically, unlike JET program, which is actually more strict for a reason because it's actually by the government. It's actually a government-run program. And that program actually puts you in the BOE. So you're actually in the BOE. Okay, you're actually inside the BOE, and you're actually working for the BOE. So you're actually at their fingertips. Meanwhile, if you are for a dispatch company, if at Interac, which is the biggest one, you'll be working for Interac and just working at the school. So you're at the school, so make sure you follow what the teachers tell you to do, but you also can't let them tell you what to do because you don't technically work for them. But it's Japan, so you technically work for them while working for the other company. Just listen to whatever anybody else tells you, unless, something goes wrong, and then you got to figure that out yourself. And the company will probably not take your side. But that is the rumor. I'm going to tell you my experience right now, what it actually was like to work at Interac. Now, background, I know Japanese. And by the time I joined Interac, I was already 1 year-ish into Japan. And my Japanese is fine. I can understand. I can pretty much take care of myself. And I pretty much just let them stay out of my way. Just like, it's basically you join and then you go to this long ass training session. Actually, let me tell you the interview, bro. So basically, I went to this. Sorry. Okay, so I applied online, right? I did my thing. Then I went to the interview in Tokyo, and then basically there was these guys. We had to do a little grammar test to show that we were native level speakers, which was the easiest test ever. Did the interview. I get in with the guy. We literally sit there before the interview starts while he's setting up his questions, and we're just talking about Canada and Australia. I'm making jokes. He's like, "Oh man, you got a same sense of humor. You're actually funny. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and pass you. Let's just do the questions for formality." So we just did the question formality. I passed the interview before the interview even started. That's how easy it was. Actually, before that, there was a phone interview, which was also very easy. They also check your Japanese level too, which honestly isn't a big deal because you don't have to speak Japanese at all, and you shouldn't, and you're not allowed to. But basically, I got to that interview, passed the interview, then I get to training. You get to training. It's 5 days of, I guess if you're new to it and you've never done it before, it's pretty good training. Like you pretty much have to learn how to do, show, don't tell. You got to do a whole bunch of other things. And basically, it's a 5-day crash course of how to be an English teacher. And actually, it wasn't that bad. Made a couple friends along the way, and then of course you never see them again. So then you go off to your BOE, and then you do this super long meeting, which is so long, and you have to go sit through this meeting while all the Japanese English teachers, you meet your Japanese English teachers, they're all just sitting there. They're like, oh my God, this is so boring. They ask questions of how to use the ALT, how to use the Hanko sheet, which you have to stamp every time. But now it's online, so it doesn't really matter. But you got to sit through this really long, boring meeting. And then you go to your first day of school whenever your school starts. So that could depend. And then basically, if you had an IC, that's it. They guide you on the first day, and the rest is all on you. And that's basically it. They leave you alone. That's basically Interac in a nutshell. Now, what happens is from here is that the work is really easy. It depends on your school, of course, which is the golden mantra. So if you are at a school, at junior high school, and you are the tape recorder, the human tape recorder, is probably the worst, depending on what you like to do, I guess. It's for me anyway, it's the worst job ever. You do nothing. You warm the desk all day, and you basically just sit there and pretend to work, which is a normal thing in Japan, and you just fucking listen and repeat the entire time, and you feel like, why am I even here? My life is a lie. Oh my God, I'd rather work in retail. I'd rather pound sand. I'd rather build drywall. I'd rather do something else. And that's one side of the coin. The second side of the coin is if you're in junior high school, okay, you're going to be the lead. All right, they're going to be giving you the entire control of the entire lesson. And that, for me anyway, is really fun. I like that because I like to be able to feel like I'm actually doing something with my life and actually making an impact and having control over the class and everything like that. But if not, you're going to be pounding sand. You want to try and get the latter. But you also have to be careful of not to let them make you do too much unless you want to, because you ain't getting paid enough to do that. The salary you're getting at Interac or any ALT company is pretty low. It's pretty low. It's gotten better over the years though, because they've recently introduced an average pay. So you get less per month, but you don't get prorated during the summer and Christmas like you usually would, because you're technically not working. So you don't get to work there. So you don't get any money because you're not working. Which is true, because you actually have significantly less responsibility than any of the other teachers that you'll see in the school. All right. Now let's talk about Japanese, okay, using Japanese in the classroom. So the rule of Interac and any other ALT dispatches, you can't use Japanese in the class. You got to use show, don't tell. Now I'm going to tell you right now, this depends on the school. It really does. At my school, where I was there for 3 years, I was using 50% Japanese, 50% English by the time I was settled in by second year, because honestly, I couldn't be bothered. I can't be bothered to have the kids just be confused and play guessing games the entire time. If I could just tell them what it is, yeah, at the end of the day, my activities are not for them to be conversational and be fluent in Japanese, right? I mean, in English. Right? It's for them to pass the goddamn test. So honestly, if you want the kids to freaking learn that and actually just pass the test, which is all it's really actually for, then you know what? I don't even care about you. Oh yeah, show, don't tell, and make sure they understand in English. Bro, they're just trying to pass a test. They don't care. If they did care, they'd be going to Eikaiwa. Honestly. And they'd be talking to you in English. But no, bro. They'd be going to private school, maybe. But these mans don't care. They're just trying to pass a test. They don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. When I was learning French in Canada, I don't care about French, bro. Just tell me in English. Who cares? It's honestly just a barrier. It's honestly just a barrier to get any and anyone to work for, an ALT dispatch company. But honestly, I'll just say, it's bro, if you could take the path of least resistance, take the path of least resistance, bro. Throw in that korewa nandesu, throw in that korewa pen desu, especially for ichinensei, the first years in junior high school. They don't fucking know anything, bro. How do you expect to teach them in all English? Actually, in my defense, I went to one school where first year was supported half Japanese, half English, and then the second year and the third year was all in English. It was all in English. Okay, it was amazing, and it was actually really, really good. But I don't get paid enough to do that. Okay. okay? Not the struggle bus it, okay? It was a struggle bus, and I'm sure it was a struggle bus for a lot of time. But they also did the explanations in Japanese, okay? So they don't get all the credit. But I do attest that, yes, teaching in English, all in English, is a very immersive thing, and it actually works out the most. Once the kids have the basics, I think that works out. But when the kids don't know anything, you got to be supporting them in the language that they understand, okay? You don't just go in there and just start teaching me and hoping I figure it out, all right? Hoping I figure it out. But honestly, we're getting into a different topic here. But anyway, so, just don't use Japanese. Use English all the time when they come to inspect you on observation days. Other than that, it's pretty much reading the air, reading your school. And honestly, if you speak Japanese to the kids outside of class, you'll have a much better time. I once went to a school and I basically pretended to speak English only for the entire first or 2 semesters. And bro, it was so boring. It was so sad. Like, I didn't get to have any memes or jokes with the kids or anything like that, or have to actually get to talk to them, get to know them. But as soon as I broke the seal and I just started speaking Japanese, bro, my experience as a human being at this school was significantly better. It was just so much more fun for me and my mental health, and it was just so much more fun. Maybe it was against the rules, but whatever. I don't work there anymore. And honestly, my honest advice to you is, if you want to keep a nice balance without getting in trouble, I'd say speak all English in the class, unless you give the instruction that the kids don't understand. You're like,これはペンというものですね。じゃあこれとSo you just explain to them on the side. Just do that, and then when you're outside the classroom, it's just free game, bro. Who cares? Just have fun and enjoy your time with the kids, because a lot of ALTs here aren't going to stay here for more than 1 or 2, 3 years, and I don't recommend it. But I do recommend to do an ALT job, to be honest. But let's talk about how it is to actually work at Interac. So basically, I would say, honestly, the bad experience you've heard from any of the Reddit posts or anything like that is honestly those people who don't know the difference between their right foot and left foot in Japanese. Honestly right now, if you are not self-sustainable and you are not independent and you need someone to hold your hand the entire way, it's not a good idea to rely on Interac or any dispatch company or any company in Japan. To be honest, it's time to grow up, put your adult pants on, and learn to take care of yourself, and just let them be the paycheck. Don't ask them for, let me go get the tax form. Maybe the first time, yes, go tax form, do all this stuff. Can you tell me this? Could you call? Could you go to the doctor? Blah, 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 blah. First of all, if you're coming to Japan and you have no Japanese skill at all, man, I don't speak Japanese. I don't need that shit. I can speak English. They don't understand. If you're coming like that, you're going to have a hard time. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have a hard freaking time. It is not a country that is built on English. Especially if you're not in Tokyo. You're Cade. Don't even bother. Honestly, don't even bother. No, I'm joking. You can come. What I mean is, don't even bother thinking that you're going to have a convenient time if you don't speak a lick of Japanese. Okay? This country is 98% Japanese people, and they all speak Japanese. And if you don't speak Japanese, or at least make the effort to it, you're going to have a hard time. I'm not saying you have to, and if you don't, it's impossible to live here, and you should just throw out any kind of dreams of having to live in Japan, but I can't learn Japanese. I'm telling you right now, that's fine. There are a lot of people who come here and point at the menu at McDonald's for the last 15 years, and they're fine. But I'm saying, if you want to have a good time, and you want to have a fulfilled time, and you want to have an easier time, the more Japanese you know, and the more self-sustained you are in Japan, the easier time you'll have with any company in Japan, with any dispatch. And you will less likely to become those people who are ranting like crazy on these Facebook pages or Reddit posts. Honestly, I'll tell you right now, Interac was a great company. It was a great company for me because they stayed out of my way. I knew what I was doing. I had my agreements with the schools, whatever. It's whatever. I was on Haken, whatever dispatch company, whatever things. And I was fine. I was able to communicate with my teachers, my students, and handle it myself. And that was it. And then all they did was just handle me if I was absent, or if I was sick, or if I had to take a day off, or if something happened, like a storm or something like that, and they still force you to go to work because they have to get that money from the contract, whatever. But you know what? Understand it. It's business. Understand that you're working for a business, okay? You are basically just a pawn. You are a pawn. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that you are just a pawn, okay? But which the good thing is, you don't have the huge ass responsibilities that the Japanese teachers actually have, right? They work so much longer. They have so much more responsibility, and you just get to chill on your ass, go and teach I like apples, and be done with it. Honestly, if as long as you're not like a creep, you're good. Like, you're good. Okay? But learn some Japanese, okay? If you don't learn Japanese, it doesn't matter how many Josies you're going to get. It's not going to be a fun time. I'm telling you right now. But honestly, in all honesty, Interac is probably one of the best companies you can go for as an ALT because, one, they're the biggest one, so they're probably going to pay your paycheck most of the time. I've seen horror stories of smaller ALT companies that don't even pay out their paycheck because they're struggling, they're struggle bussing. Number two, they have the most contracts in all of Japan, okay? They're the most contracts in all of Japan, so you can pretty much work wherever you want. Especially if you already live in Japan, you get some priority thing. I don't know what it is, but I requested a very specific area, and I got that area. It was insane. I was like, okay, right? And like, as long as you're doing your job well, and you're not being a creep, and you're not sexually harassing somebody or something like that, you're blessed. And you'll probably get a lot of the things that you want done, okay? If you're being whiny and you're being like, oh, help me, if you're doing that, you're going to have a hard time, all right? Just let it be smooth. Figure things out on your own. Just let them pay the paycheck. That's honestly all it is. It's a great company. Depends on your branch, I'm sure. But like the branch I worked for, it was great. The managers were great. No one's micromanaging me. It was all fun. It was all fun and games. And then you know what? It was just like chill. They understood me. It was great. It was probably one of the best experiences I had other than the pay. But honestly, that's something you can't really change. And I think there are actually people like joining unions now. I wish I had that in the past, but luckily, I eventually got out of that because I kind of outgrew it. But honestly, it's such a great cultural experience to actually work as an ALT. It's an easy job. You get a lot of free time. I'm telling you that right now. You can work part-time in an Kaiwa. You can go out on holidays. You have Golden Week. You have summer vacation. You have all that. And honestly, like balancing the good and the bad of all the companies, I think either Altia, which I've heard really good things about, and Interac are probably your best go-tos to go right now. But right now, at the time of this recording, 2020, April, do not come to Japan. Do not come to teach at ALT right now. I'm telling you right now, it is not the time to come unless you want to get Rona. But anyway, guys, that's my experience and my review of a real down-to-earth review of Interac and the ALT position in general. And honestly, if everything goes back to normal, when everything goes back to normal, I would recommend it. I would recommend it for like a year or two and then figure out if you want to stay here longer or not. And honestly, I won't hold it against you. But god damn it, learn some Japanese. If you don't know any Japanese, start studying right now. Seriously, I'm not even lying to you. Like, please learn Japanese. If like even just N5 level. Because the more you know, the more independent you'll be, the more they'll be out of your way, and the more you'll have fun, and the more you'll enjoy life in Japan, okay? I'm telling you right now. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Maydaysan Talk Show on the couch, not walking around pacing and giving you anxiety. We'll see you guys next time.